Hey guys, I just want to do a quick video and talk about reverse osmosis water filtration systems because I have a concern for myself and my family as it relates to the water that we're drinking. And I want to talk a little bit about the myths that go along with reverse osmosis, and then we'll talk about how I installed mine. And I'll show you some results of just about installed on January 17th. I changed the filter last night, 2.5. So less than, sorry about that, less than a month. I'll show you this filter right here. Actually, we'll skip around. But this is the old one. I don't know if you can see, it's pretty nasty, but this sat out overnight. Pulled out all that rust and whatever else might be in the water. And that's just the first filter. This is 5 micron sediment filter. I mean, you still have to go through 5 and a 1 carbon block through the membrane and then into the deionizer before it's ready for you to consume. So there's a lot of myths out there, and I'll go through them real quick. There's what they call TDS, which is total dissolved solids, minerals that are dissolved into the water. Also any kind of chemicals that might be dissolved in the water, pharmaceutical waste. Dow Chemical is pretty notorious for, I believe they were the ones that invented Teflon, which is considered one of their forever chemicals. I think they're PFASs. And that's in Philadelphia, where we are. We're in the suburbs, but you know, it's in the water supply. So what I have is, I have 2 meters. So this one is set up, this is the water supply right here, the red, and I have it tied in right here, and it's reading about 120 parts per million. So after it goes through these filters, 1, 2, and 3, and these are simple. This first one that I replaced last night is about $3. These two are a little bit more expensive, and here's your membrane. And after it comes through, you see the blue, comes around here, and then I read it again. I have another meter. So over to the left for the red, it drops from 120 down to 6 parts per million. And then through the deionizing resin, it comes out ready for you to drink. And I want to see where I'm at after the resin so that I know when to change this. So switch it over. 0 parts. Okay, so we have before the resin, so we know when to change our membrane, which is our left side, 6 parts. So when it deviates significantly from that, we're going to change the membrane, but that's good for 6-7 years. These filters, this is 2 to 3 months. This is, they say, 6 months, give or take, depending on the maintenance of this filter. These are about $10, $15, $20, depending on how you go. Membranes are much more expensive. Resin's not too bad. But the fact of the matter is, it's pulling out everything down to 0 parts per million, which is now going into the holding tank, 3 gallons, ready for us to consume. So back to the total dissolved solids, or TDS. Here's I ran another line right here. So this is the basement. So when we're entertaining, we have some people over having some cold beers. They want to have some drinks when they get a little sauced up. They want to have a glass of water because they think that that's what's going to save them from their DUI. We have a faucet here for fresh water also. But so the total dissolved solids are being removed through this process. And there's a lot of myths out there that say that you're removing all the minerals and that can affect your body. And that's just not true. Because if you eat a well-balanced diet, you achieve those minerals through that. And water consumption is not a way to, what's the word, achieve those numbers in terms of mineral intake. So the best way to get the minerals that you need, go eat a banana and a block of spinach. So stop worrying about the water you drink other than filtering out all the chemicals, because check this out. This was from yesterday, still wet. This is an old filter, less than a month old. And you can see this was a lot worse last night. So a lot of the water drained out of it, but you can still see it's orange. It should be bright white like this. Look at the difference. Disgusting. Pulling out rust and everything else. And this is just your first filter. This is the first stage in the 6-stage process. So it's doing something. I don't know about you, but I don't want that going into my body. I dumped it into here when I changed the filters to the bucket, and I took it into the bathroom and I dumped that water. And I'm going to do another video when I change the next filter, because it was literally an orange, like when they flush your water mains. It's an orange, disgusting water. And I'm glad that, excuse me, that I put this in for that reason. So on to the next topic. I'll give you a quick run through. I'll put in the description where I purchased this actual unit, and then I'll put in, I'm trying to think, yeah, I think I got just about everything. The TDS meters I bought off of Amazon, but you can get them on there. It's called Bulk Reef Supply. They have the hoses that you'll need. You have the meters, the connections. Now Lowe's and Home Depot have the push connects. Lowe's is SharkBite. I think Home Depot is another brand, but I think they're both owned by SharkBite, or the company that owns SharkBite. So they're quality. Just make sure you're using quality, because the last thing you want is a leak. Water's a pain. So bought the unit. I think this all comes assembled. This hose, the blue, just loops around. It comes in, goes through, and then it comes out the one side, and then you just bring it to the deionizer. From the deionizer, you come down to the tank. Tank has a special fitting with a shutoff, so you can depressurize when you need to change a filter, because if you don't, you'll have water shooting all over. And then what you do is you just run the line to the tank, and you'll need to tee it off. I have another tee here because I wanted to put this TDS meter in, but it's so simple. I mean, you just pop these in. It's a piece of cake. Insert the tube all the way. It locks in. Done. But to put the fitting in, you need to cut the tubing. So what I have, and this is important, you need to get yourself a very sharp razor. Make sure that you cut it straight onto something hard. Press it and cut a nice clean slice right through that, and insert the hoses as needed into in this case a T. And then I ran this side goes to the faucet over here for when people need some fresh water in the basement. And then I have my line running. This is going all the way up, all the way through. Ideally, you would like to do this prior to finishing a basement, but I didn't think about this then. Runs all the way up into the soffit, all the way up, and then upstairs, and taps into my fridge upstairs. So I have fresh ice cubes, pure ice cubes, pure water from the upstairs fridge. And then down here, if you need a quicker fill, because I noticed that the upstairs faucet, or excuse me, the upstairs fridge, only the pressure is kind of weak. So I installed this obviously for my friends, but more so I could come down here with a coffee pot and not take as long. So if you have the ability, you may want to throw the faucet in upstairs as well. But I needed to join because the hose wasn't big enough or long enough. So I used a quick connect, 1/4 inch, and that's another thing. The hose, 1/4 inch, excuse me, sorry about that, 1/4 inch OD, outside diameter. You'll see OD and ID, 1/4 inch OD, outside diameter. Same thing for the fittings, OD push connect. But you'll see that anytime you use a push connect, if you can avoid it, just for me, I want it outside of the wall or outside of the drywall. So if it were to fail, because that's really the only place it's going to fail, is going to be at a connection. Try to keep it, plan your run. So if you have to use a connector, a coupling, you can use it here. If it leaks here, it goes on the slab. Not a big deal. And then I'll know eventually, because it's not going to leak like crazy, hopefully. But the other thing I use are these little coax holders or nailers. They work great. Not too tight. You can nail them home. It holds the hose or 1/4 inch line. So what I did, run through this real quick. So when I received the unit, brought it down, your red is your supply. So what I had is PEX already that I tied in from my main. My whole house is PEX, which makes it a lot easier. But I wanted to tie it in so I can shut it off if I have to. This is my vanity and my hot water for the vanity and toilet. So vanity, vanity, hot and cold, and then vanity, toilet cold. So I went off the toilet so I can shut this baby off right here, done. And then I tied in after that, put a T in, little piece of PEX, and then I put an angle stop, which is just a PEX 1/4 turn valve for like your toilet supply. Faucet underneath your vanity, same idea. So I tied that in, angle stop, and then if you look closely right here, this is a copper reducer from 3/8, which your angle stop is 3/8. This is 3/8 to a 1/4 inch. Excuse me, 1/4 inch compression. So when you're working with plumbing, you have FIP or MIP, which is iron pipe, male and female iron pipe, and then you have compression. This is compression now. So you have angled stop, 3/8 compression to a 1/2 inch. Excuse me, 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch? I believe this is a fridge line, so it's a compression 1/4. But it's, I'll have to look that up. It's either a 1/2 or a 1/4, whatever the fridge line is. But anyhow, this part comes with it. So this screws on. I pipe doped it a little. You can use Teflon tape if you'd like. Teflon tape, obviously you wrap it wrap it clockwise, so when you screw on your fitting, you're not removing the Teflon. If you're using pipe dope, which I did, you just slop it on there. And then you just simply put the quick connect on, pop in your supply for your unit. Then it's going to run through here, and then you'll quick connect this in. And then, like I said, down here you'll run your your tank, install your fitting, quick connect with the shutoff. This all comes with the kit, and then you'll have to run your T that goes up to your fridge or your faucet or what have you. And then lastly you'll have your waste line. So your waste, which is the system for every, I believe it's 25% efficient. So in other words, for every gallon of water that the filter, the system makes, it's wasting, excuse me, I got a cold here, it's wasting 75%. So every gallon, you're losing 3 gallons. So your wastewater, and it's doing that to flush the membrane. So I ran a waste line up, over, and down. Excuse me. And I just brought it down here behind the unit, and then into on the condensate line for my my unit. Zip tied it, brought it down here to the sump pump, and this is, like I said, this is a 1/4 inch OD. Drilled a hole, and it fits perfectly snug in there. This right here is a moisture meter. Piece of junk, bought it on Amazon, but it sounds like hell, so if it does detect any water, we'll hear it upstairs, just as a precaution. Now, you could run this condensate, or excuse me, not the condensate line, the wastewater line, if you have the ability to a drain. I could have went up and out of the house and maybe threw it into the downspout of the gutter underground. It's something you really have to think about. I was limited. I had to go, excuse me, sump pump. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope this gives you a better understanding of how, one, to install it. Obviously, I should have made the video prior to doing so, but it gives you a good idea of what the finished product looks like and how I went about doing it. And I'm going to look up that fitting also, and I'll put that in the description. The size, this guy right here. I know it's 3/8 to, I'm not sure if it's a 1/2 or a 1/4, but I'll put it in the description. If you have any questions, please put it in the comment box, and I'll try to do my best to answer them. Thanks.